Good evening. The Twiggs County Board of Education meeting is called to order. Today is September the 22nd, 2020, and the time is 6:01 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you for that. Okay. Good evening to everyone. We're so pleased to have our board members here and our superintendent here for our meeting this evening. We have our superintendent, Mr. Dixon. We have myself, Jody Rainey. We have our vice chair, Mr. Isaiah Rouse. We have Ms. Teresa Blackshear, and we have Mr. Jacquez Harris, and then we have several of our staff members here with us this evening, and we have some public watching us and our stakeholders watching us as well. With that being said, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the agenda for this evening. There is one change that Mr. Dixon has said, the GBI applicant privacy rights. This is not a policy review. Mr. Dixon, could you explain that a little bit?
Yes, Ms. Rainey. It is not a policy. It is a procedure, an administrative procedure, and Mr. Austin will talk about it as an administrative procedure.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting with the change.
Okay, and Ms. Blackshear, I'm also, okay, thank you, Mr. Rouse and Ms. Blackshear. I'm also asking for just a few moments of executive session as well. So if we could add that as item G, executive session, just for a moment. If you will, do you stand by your motion and your second with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. The motion has been made by Ms. Blackshear and seconded by Mr. Rouse to approve the agendas with the changes of the GBI applicant is a procedure, is still an information item, and then adding the executive session to item G for a few moments. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please either raise your hand or say aye. If I can see your, okay. Okay, that's aye. So that motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. All right, so there's some minutes. The next item will be approval of the minutes for September the 8th meeting. That's to be a regular session. Mr. Dixon, were those? I don't see the minutes from the September 8th meeting in our email.
Let's see if I see those.
Ms. Rainey, you're going in and out. We're kind of losing what you're saying.
Tina, they don't see the September 8 minutes.
Okay, I got. Keep down.
So I don't have what happened after executive session.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't put them in because they weren't complete.
Ms. Rainey, the September 8th minutes are not in your packet. Ms. Rainey, the September 8th minutes are not in your packets.
Okay, so is there a motion to table that until the next time, please?
Yes, I move that motion to table the minutes to the next meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion's been made by Ms. Blackshear and seconded by Mr. Rouse to table the approval of the minutes for September the 8th until our next meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye, or if I see your picture, you may raise your hand. I see Mr. Rouse's picture. Mr. Rouse, thank you.
Aye.
Ms. Blackshear, Mr. Harris.
Aye.
And
Aye.
Aye for Ms. Blackshear. And okay, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. And we're going to ask Ms. Blackshear for our ethics statement, please.
In accordance with regulations set forth by the Georgia Ethics Commission, it is the duty of every board member to avoid board conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest? Madam Chair, we'll proceed with our agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Thank you for that. Mr. Dixon, do you have any comments? Our superintendent's comments?
Madam Chair, I do have a few comments. Thank you for what you do in serving the scholars of Twiggs County, you, Vice Chair Rouse, and the board members, fellow board members. There are just a few comments that I would like to make. We are busy trying to educate our students virtually. It is a trying time during these unprecedented times in educating boys and girls all over the United States. Everyone is struggling in what do we do during these trying times. But as we struggle through, I think our educators are doing the very best job that they can do. I would like to make you aware that we will be doing our Reach Tea on Thursday evening at 6:00 p.m. virtually. Normally, we would be doing our fabulous Reach Gala on Thursday evening, but we will be doing a Reach Tea. I won't steal Miss Woodley's thunder. She will talk more about that when she speaks this afternoon. Also, we were notified by the Department of Driver Services in FY15. They gave us a good gift of a 2008 Ford Fusion. It only had 30,000 miles on it at that time from the Department of Driver Services for us to use as a driver's ed car. We've utilized that car. It now has 51,000 miles on it. But they have notified us that as of December, we can no longer use that car as a driver's ed car because of it is too old. So we will have to get a newer model driver's ed car for our students to be able to drive, to practice their driving skills for driver's ed. The Ford Fusion will have to be retired for some other use within our district. As of right now, their plans are not to ask us to return the car. They're planning to give it to the district, and it only has 51,000 miles on it, in good shape. So we're hoping that that gift will remain with us for that. This is our meeting that we will hopefully begin to start thinking about what shall we do for phase 2 for our as we start to think about what will we do going forward with our COVID plan. So let us start thinking about that because we will have to make some decisions as to how we will continue to educate our boys and girls of Twiggs County. Thank you for what you do. We look forward to a great meeting on this evening. Madam Chair, that concludes my announcements.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Dixon. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move to our business agenda. the first item, and these are all information items until we get to item F, and that the item F is an action item. So all of these other items are information items. The first item is our reach update, and Mr. Dixon and Dr. Foster is on are on cue for this, but I've been told that Miss Woodley.
Okay, and this time I would like to introduce to you Ms. Renala Woodley, our assistant principal at our middle high school, and also one of our math specialists that also teaches math for us. And we're glad to have Ms. Woodley back with us. Also, she will become our new REACH coordinator. She is replacing Ms. Jackie Curtis, who has done a marvelous job with that program. And she has met with Ms. Curtis. Ms. Curtis has given her blessing and her impartation and has worked with Ms. Woodley and handing over the program to her. So I am very confident in the skill set of Ms. Woodley that she will be able to take the REACH program and take it to higher heights and continue with the spirit of excellence that it has had over the past 5-6 years. So Ms. Woodley, I will turn it over to you now to give us our update.
Yes, sir. Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, board members, Superintendent Dixon, good evening. Where are we now with REACH? Next slide, please, Mr. Basley. As Mr. Dixon already stated, we're going to keep with the annual REACH Gala, but in these times, we're going to do it virtually by having a REACH tea. It's REACH for your tea, and hopefully you guys receive your tea bags in the mail. So on Thursday at 6 o'clock, we're going to virtually have our REACH tea, and you are all invited. We currently have 20 students, that's 9th through 12th grade, who are REACH scholars, and we will select 5 more. The selection process has been extended, so the applications are due on October 2nd, with the interviews being the 7th or 8th. And in the past, the district has had to pay $1,500 of the $10,000 that the scholars receive. This year, the district only has to pay $1,000 per student, so that would be $5,000 that we would need to raise for our REACH scholars. Next slide. So, ways to donate. You can make checks payable to Twiggs County Public Schools, and you can mail them to the Board of Education at 952 Main Street in Jeffersonville. If you would like to donate by way of a credit card, you can call the board office at 478-945-3127 and ask for either Ms. Walker or Ms. Curry. And also we have a PayPal link that's here. If anybody needs any of this information, please reach out to me at the school, or Mr. Dixon, or Ms. Curry, or Ms. Walker. And that's all I have, but I would like to end by thanking our lawyer contributors. And we would like for you to be a lawyer contributor if you are not. So please take down the ways to donate, and I look to hear from you soon. Thank you, Ms. Rainey.
Thank you so much, Ms. Woodley, and thank you so much, Mr. Dixon. I see the PayPal link. We're getting started with our online payment systems, and that's going to be a very good headway for us in the future for people to be able to pay things. So that's wonderful, and I'm just so pleased to see that. Thank you so much for your work, and we thank you for all the work that's been done as well. Okay. Did any of our board members have any questions about the reach? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. The next item on our business agenda is a teaching and learning update, and this is an information item. Ms. Reardon.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, board members, Superintendent Dixon, and our stakeholders. Tonight, I'm going to be updating you on teaching and learning, and I'm going to begin with an assessment update. Mr. Basley's going to be pulling up a presentation for us. And fall is my favorite time of the year, so I took the liberty and put some fall in our presentation tonight, since today's the first day of fall. I think 2 more pages, Mr. Basley. There we go. Georgia's assessment waiver request, as you have heard, was denied by the United States Education Department. And Superintendent Woods was very disappointed in this. And he stated that he would like to request a waiver for the accountability side of assessment. If we have to continue to give the assessment, he wanted to see if there was a way that we could have those assessment results not count negatively towards systems in the CCRPI or towards students in things like 20% of their grade for the EOC counts towards the EOC counts towards 20% of their final grade. That's what I was trying to say. And he was wanting to have those things waived. So that is something that he is considering doing. There have been some assessment changes that have been approved. One of which is middle school students will now be who are taking high school courses will now take both the end of grade assessment and the end of course assessment. They were only taking one, but since we have a reduction in assessments, we are no longer qualifying for the waiver of that. So that is why our students are now taking these assessments. And included in that are the dual enrollment students. They will be taking the end of course assessment for the dual enrollment course that they are replacing their high school course with. One of the other changes is no 5th grade social studies end of grade assessment. The times are reduced for our testing, and there is greater flexibility in scheduling. We always want to keep student safety in the forefront of all of our decision making when it comes to assessments. Superintendent Woods was adamant about this in all of our meetings that I've had with the assessment department at the Georgia Department of Education. One of the suggestions that they have given is that we consider not retesting our students because of the added exposure, taking us into the summertime and those sorts of things. And that is one of the reasons he's hoping to get the waiver to take the accountability portion away, because that's a lot of the reason why we are retesting our students. Also, assessment in Twiggs County, what it's going to look like is our milestone assessments and our DAA. They're going to have to happen in person, not virtually. So we're going to need to prepare for this as we approach assessment season. GKids is ongoing and it can be done virtually. And that is something that right now they are still doing the readiness assessment, but then they will convert into doing GKids assessment when they're completed with the readiness assessment, which generally happens within the first 6 weeks of school. but they have extended that time frame because so many school systems have started late, and we're in this virtual environment, and it's a little different with assessing our students. We will assess for the first time in December our Algebra 1 and biology students who are on a block schedule during fourth period will be taking the milestones assessments for end of course assessments in December. We will assess in March with our GAA students. There are little to no changes with GAA. One thing is that they have an extended time frame for taking the GAA. Assessment in Twiggs County also is looking like we will assess in May with our high school end of course, and one of the changes are the reduction in those courses for end of course. So we will have Algebra 1, American Literature, Biology, and U.S. History. Those are the subject areas we will be testing this year. Elementary and middle school end of grade assessments, 3rd through 8th graders will all take the ELA and math assessments. The 5th graders will add science to what they are taking, and the 8th graders will add science and social studies to what they are taking, which is the same that they have had in the past. These scores, we want to keep in mind that these scores are going to show us where our students are in this one point in time. And remember, this one point in time is unprecedented times. So that is something that Superintendent Woods was very concerned about. And he wants to make sure that if we do have to publish these test scores, and if we are going to be held accountable for them, he assures us that he will make sure that it will be posted all over these assessment results, that it was done during the middle of a pandemic. And we need to keep in mind too that our scores cannot measure how resilient our students have been through all of these changes, how resilient our families have been, and our teachers and staff. These test scores are not going to measure our commitment to serving our students or our community support that we have, that they are just a one mark in time, and based on how a student is performing on that test. So we want to remain positive about testing and to keep it in perspective so that it is not such a anxiety-ridden time for our students. Next, we have our teaching and learning update. We are giving instructional supports. We are focused on making sure our students feel safe, that our students feel valued, and that they are receiving quality instruction to the best of our ability. As Mr. Dixon stated in the beginning, that this is definitely a new road for all of us to travel down. Teachers need support, and we need to provide what they need as a teacher to learn and grow within this context that they are that is relatively new to them. And sometimes what we've done in the classroom in the past doesn't always translate well to online instruction for students to receive that online instruction. So we have to take our time to retool. We have done a great deal of that prior to school starting, and we continue to do that daily. And some instructional supports that we are doing also includes our administrators who are having to adjust to supervising and guiding teachers as they teach in this online environment, that they don't have observations like they used to in the past. So they have to adjust by visiting virtual classrooms. We continue to leverage our state and federal funding to support student learning. We're focusing on student achievement and meeting our goals. We are maximizing all of our schedules and personnel to meet these goals and to improve student achievement. And next 2 slides, Mr. Basley. Teacher training. The professional development that is available to teachers now is mostly virtual. So it does reduce travel time. It does reduce time away from the classroom. A lot of this is after school. So that is a plus on the funding side, and it is a plus on timing side and student instruction. There are multiple resources available to our teachers for the purpose of creating the best possible learning environment for our students, and they have been trained in all of these resources that have been given to them, and that training is ongoing. I've done a teacher support survey, instructional support survey, and with this, next slide, please, Mr. Basley. With this survey, they, I'm sorry, Mr. Basley, back one more. Okay, it must not have put in there. I put in another slide, an example of our teacher support. I did a survey of all of the teachers, asking them about all of our programs that we offer to them. To find out if they are utilizing all of these supports. Are they comfortable using these supports? Do they need any training in these supports? And then the teachers all responded, so I can go back and look at the survey and determine exactly who needs assistance in what program. It could be Google Classroom, it could be Google Meets, it could be Edgenuity, it could be MobiMax, all of the supports that we provide to educate our children, to find out if these teachers are ready or not, and if they're comfortable using these with the students. And then as I go back and look at the results and see where we need to work for our teachers to make sure they're comfortable and ready to teach our students, I'll go back and revisit that to make sure that we've provided the support that they need. And then next, our teacher training and support. We have 3 TAP teachers in the district, and they're working diligently in their programs. They are being mentored and coached and monitored by RISA, as well as ourselves. There are 10 teachers who we have in induction programs. They're completing these programs. They're being mentored, coached, and monitored by RISA and our administration in the district. We have 4 teachers who have waivers that have been issued, and they are being mentored, coached, and monitored by administration in the district. We follow up with them to make sure that they are completing the programs that are necessary, any assessments that are necessary to maintain their waivers. And as I end with us today, in a training that I was in today, I saw this quote that we are all going through a significant period of evolution, and it means that there's an incredible opportunity that we have. So we need to look at this time as an opportunity, not just a problem that we have. And my greatest hope is that we don't reach for just getting back to normal, but that we reach for being better than what we ever were in the past. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't see any, Ms. Reardon. Thank you for that. Thank you for that presentation. And with no further questions, I'm going to move on to the next item. Thank you for that presentation. Our next item is our new Special Education Director, Mr. Brian Howell, and he's going to present an information item, a student support services update. Welcome, Mr. Howell.
Good evening to everyone. I guess it's good to see everybody's faces or pictures or whatever. It's first time kind of presenting to the Board of Education at Twiggs County, but I'm happy to be here. I'm just going to kind of talk about some of the things that we've already been doing since I've been assigned to this position. I met with my entire staff last week, just kind of letting know the expectations that we have for the upcoming year, and also just some of the things that that we putting out there, and understanding that we are serving a unique population. But regardless, we're going to make sure that we do the right thing for our students. Also, we make sure we assign the caseloads to the teachers, and with the hiring of additional staff at the high school and middle school, we're able to relieve some of the caseloads off of other teachers. Now, one thing that we are working on right now is with the Department of Education. It's our disproportionality report, and that's just showing you that we're disproportionate in one particular area, and we're working on that right now and been meeting with the Department of Education since last Thursday, and we had another meeting today, and we're looking. We just got to turn in a couple of items and a couple of reports, and we'll have those things together. It's due October the 2nd, but my goal was to have everything ready by September 30th, just in case. I've always believed have things ready early instead of late. Also, today we got a chance to meet with the lead teachers, especially lead teachers in each school, just to talk about their duties and responsibilities. Also, again, just talk about some of the things that we need from their school as far as filling out this disproportionality report. And by doing those things, we realized too, I can't do all things by myself. We can't do it all on our own at the board office. And we're going to need help from the teachers at the school. So they definitely was ready to jump on and to help us out with everything we needed. Also, we just make sure that, we are keeping the files updated and make sure we're reaching out to the students who are having issues maybe with technology and maybe just getting the required documents that they need. So at the next, hopefully the next board meeting, I'll be able to at least show you the report that we sent back to the Department of Education. Any questions?
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and board members, I want to say welcome to Mr. Howell, and he has definitely hit the road running. He's met with all of his staff. He's jumped in with both feet. He and Ms. Ricks, they have been working diligently along with Ms. Bryant, and definitely we see the department up and running the way that it should be. So I want to say welcome aboard and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Howell, and thank you for that presentation. Did anyone have any questions? I don't see any. So with that being said, we're going to move on. And our next item will be the pandemic plan phase 2. This is an information item. Mr. Dixon.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, board members, I can almost get to the end where I say I have a great plan. And as soon as I get there, some more data comes out, or I hear about another district and something else comes up. In educating boys and girls, nothing replaces a good teacher in the presence of boys and girls. I sent you a report late this afternoon, and that report, I believe, was called County Indicator Report, and it gives specific data about Twiggs County. And at your leisure, you will have time to look at that report as well. It's about the entire state of Georgia, but you can click on the link that will take you directly to Twiggs County as well, about the number of COVID cases that we have had in Twiggs County, the number of deaths that we have had in Twiggs County. COVID is real. COVID is alive. So we're having to deal with that and trying to make a decision. My goal is to try and transition our boys and girls back, but I want to do it in a safe and nurturing manner. I would like to start some form of a plan with our access kids, that would be with our special population, and with our pre-K and our kindergarten classes first. That would be my goal to start with, and then do a phase-in plan with our other students. I would like to do it for maybe a week, 2 weeks at a time, and move in another group in phases, just for us to have an opportunity to work out kinks, to see what our response is. I would like to start that a week prior to fall break. Give me a week if there are issues over fall break to work out some issues. So as we do that, we will transition to work out any kinks that we might have during fall break. So that's kind of where my head is right now. This is not for a vote tonight. I think administratively, I can just pretty much make some administrative decisions with this, but I would definitely keep you all informed over the next couple of days as we try to unfold something. But if you have some thoughts, I definitely want to hear from you all.
I would just like to add, are they gonna be required to wear masks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that report. Does anyone else have any other members have any other questions or comments? Thank you for that, Mr. Dixon. Thank you for that report.
I would
And
like
with
to,
that,
I would like to ask,
Yes, sir.
are there any, do you have any concerns with the access kids and pre-K being the first part? Any concerns about that? Or any thoughts about that first parts of what I'm thinking in my head? From any of our board members?
I think that would be a great transition for the special and the pre-K. I think that's a great idea.
I would like to add pre-K. I definitely understand. I think there may be some other grade levels that may be able to transition during that time also. But I think that's for further conversation as you continue to develop the plan. But I would love to see possibly maybe pre-K first, second, at least up to second, as those are some priority age groups and grade levels. But I think I'm pretty sure you have a reason for just special population and for pre-K. So as you continue to develop the plan, I think we'll see the reason you chose that grade.
Good point, Mr. Harris, because as we were thinking in terms of working through our access kids, our pre-K, and actually kindergarten first and second, as it's definitely hard to teach kids phonics virtually. It's hard to teach those kids those basic skills virtually. It's hard to get down in the floor with those kids. It's hard to do those things. It's difficult for our parents that are at home, those skills that they don't know how to teach them, how to assist them with in getting. My plan was that first week that we would just start with those kids. That week after fall break, that would be my next group that I would bring. K first and second.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Dixon. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the next item of our agenda, and this is the procedure review, and it's the GBI applicant privacy rights. Mr. Austin.
Hello, good evening, board chair, vice chair, Superintendent Dixon, board members. As Mr. Dixon has stated previously in the earlier part of the meeting, that this would be a procedure, not a policy. One of the things that we've done in the business department and had the support of the administrative team is actually bringing in-house the fingerprinting process and actually purchase a fingerprinting machine. And this has caused us to be a lot more efficient and provide more customer service or better customer service to our oncoming or onboarding employees. For that reason, the GBI is requesting or is mandating rather that we have a standard operating procedure that spells out how will that employee receive their privacy rights. They do have certain rights, and we have to make sure we provide that to them. Either during the process, it's posted by the particular machine, or they have some type of way of understanding what their language means. And so we will we have like 4 or 5 documents that we have to give them, and that's one of them. And so they're requiring that we have that. And they also suggested and recommended that it does not have to be a policy, but a procedure. So that's why we're taking that route with that. So I'd like to just thank everybody for their support. And I think that we have a great process now, and this will help continue to build that process. Any questions or concerns about that?
I just want to say that I went into the board office a couple of weeks ago and saw many procedures that were already in place. Due to the COVID-19, my temperature was checked. I had my mask on. I wore my mask, and I could just tell that our board already has procedures in place for that. Ms. Collins worked with me on my fingerprints, and it was very perfect. She was wonderful, and I saw my privacy rights. So it looks like you already have some privacy rights and a procedure already in place. I'm not sure what the GBI is asking for, but it might, I don't know if they want you to tweak it a little bit, but it was a wonderful procedure already in place going on there. So it's good to know that we already have some procedures in place for that we already have the beginnings.
Thank you, Ms. Rainey. And all the GBI wanted with that procedure was they wanted us to have it in a notebook. And that's what we had the audit, and they just wanted in a notebook. And so when that was brought out in the audit with me sitting and we got that clarity, that's why we removed it from as a policy to that procedure. And we have it in that notebook now.
Thank you for that. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments about that? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item of the agenda, and this is an action item. Item F is a 4-year degree classified salary scale, Mr. Austin.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Rainey. During our last meeting, we talked about the 4-year degree scale, and what we came to realize that this is something that has not been done in the past. We have had more classified people pursuing further education, and which is a great thing. And so we needed a scale that would address that. Do understand that this is not a solution that fixes every particular aspect of classified needs. However, it is a start, and we think it will set the foundation going forward for some great opportunities for our classified staff. At this particular moment, if you have any questions or concerns with it being an action item, I would like to answer those at this particular time.
Do you have the salary scale that we can actually see and that our stakeholders could see?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Bass, do you mind bringing that up, sir?
One second.
Thank you, Ms. Basley. And to note, nothing has changed from the last meeting, and so hopefully we'll have some good conversation around existing numbers. All right, thank you, Mr. Basley, for presenting that. Ms. Rainey, this is the 4-year degree that we presented on last meeting. Nothing has changed, just coming forth for more questions or concerns or comments.
Okay, you see the salary, the 4-year degree salary step. And these would be people who are not teachers. Is that correct? Because they would go on the teacher's pay scale. Is that correct, Mr. Austin?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay, so you see the salary scale here, and you see what's already been discussed. Mr. Dixon, do you have anything you want to say or make a recommendation? What's your recommendation, please?
Madam Chair, we have some longtime employees that we have encouraged to go back to school. They are longtime residents. They have been with us. They have been good employees. They are working in positions that are vital to the district.
And there is no way for us to reward them other than them going back to school and obtaining a higher degree. So it would be my recommendation that we approve the 4-year bachelor's degree scale.
Okay, you've heard Mr. Austin's presentation and our superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve this 4-year degree salary scale as presented, please?
I make that motion.
I second that motion.
The motion has been made by Mr. Rouse and seconded by Mr. Harris. And I think I got your voices correct, so correct me if I'm wrong. But the motion was made by Mr. Rouse and seconded by Mr. Harris. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, and I say aye, so that motion passes, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that presentation, and thank you for that. And
Madam Chair,
yes, sir.
I could not unmute fast enough, but there was some slight discussion. I just want to acknowledge that this is a good step, a big step for our district to acknowledge those who have bachelor's degrees that work in the education system that may not be classroom educators. I also want to acknowledge the fact that there are some other salary scales for those who have been educated or those who are pursuing education. And we have some things in place right now where you have a certain number of credit hours. But upon those completion of credit hours, such as associate's degrees and so on, with special certification departmentally, I think that we can negotiate with as the district representative of the board. We can talk about some salary changes, as these are specific to our district because there's no state salary scale. So there possibly will need to be some further discussion as we work on our salary scales for our local policies and procedures for salary scales.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Harris. Is there anyone else have any other comments? Any other discussion there? All right, so that motion has carried. And then we had added item G, which is executive session, and I entertain a motion to move into executive session. And the purpose of this will be personnel matters, unless Mr. Dixon had a different purpose, but the reason I requested was for personnel matters.
Personnel.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to move into executive session for personnel matters?
I move that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Ms. Blackshear and seconded by Mr. Rouse to move into executive session for personnel matters. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Everybody.
And Ms. Blackshear, you say aye as well? That motion carries. Now, I apologize to Mr. Badley. I hope we sprung that on him because we need to talk about how we're going to meet for this executive session.
We'll meet the same way. We'll meet on Google Meet.
So is there another Google meeting or how are we going to, everybody's going to log on?
No, we will stay on and he will log everybody off.
Okay, and log off the Facebook Live and all that as well. Thank you. Okay, I entertain a motion to move back into regular session from executive session.
I move that motion.
The motion's been made by Ms. Blackshear. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Rouse. All in favor, please say aye. Or raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. And we do not have any action from our executive session. We did talk about personnel matters. We talked about our superintendent search and our superintendent's retirement. And we do have one thing that I would like to say to our stakeholders that I did share with the board. And it's with much prayer and much heartbreak and sadness that I must say that due to health reasons, I'm going to step down from the Board of Education at the end of this meeting, at the end of this board meeting, effective then. It's been a joy and an honor and a pleasure and a challenge to work with the children and teachers and staff and stakeholders of Twiggs County, and it's been especially a joy to work with this board. You've been wonderful. I've learned so much from you, and it's been a joy to work with you. And Mr. Dixon, it's been a joy to work with you as well. But due to health reasons, I'm just going to have to step down and take care of my health at this time. And with that being said, I entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I make that motion.
The motion's been made by Mr. Rouse. Is there a second? Come on now, we can't sit here all night.
If we don't make a second to conclude the meeting, that means you have to stay as board chair until we do. You can't table a motion to end.
Right.
So that's seconded by Mr. Harris. Then I take that's a second.
Second that motion,
Second,
Madam
second.
Chair.
All in favor, please either raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed. So that motion carries. Meeting adjourned. I wish I had my gavel to gavel because I missed banging my gavel one time.